Good afternoon, everyone. It is Wednesday, July 16th, 2025. We got an altcoin breakout on our hands, and our bears trapped after front-running Vixpiration here, as well as some Trump tweets, rumors, everything else you can expect from a Whipsaw Wednesday. We'll get into the videos. First, though, if you could like the channel, subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment your thoughts, that'd be much appreciated. Also, come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. One of the things that we were really catching lately, too, is that Ethereum trade. And we had a lot of members in that. And we'll talk about Ethereum in a second. But we'll get into the Trump stuff first here. But yeah, so in case you haven't heard yet, there was this whole ordeal this morning. It conveniently came out that a White House official was, said that Trump was very close to firing Powell, and magically that got walked back 40 minutes later. Now, what the funny thing is with this sell here, this is just like, I was just like beside myself, like in the trading room this morning, because Scott Bessent just said the same thing like the other day, and the market didn't even care, didn't even blink. So it's just, and I talked about this in the morning video this morning. Like, this is definitely a whipsaw Wednesday, so don't trust any moves here. And you can see obviously whipsaw there. But yeah, it's just funny how it just only matters when they want it to, because I mean, this was not news. It was confirmed by Bessent that they are actively, formally pursuing a new Fed chair, and I believe it was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's just very funny to see how this worked. Now, Vixpiration was today, so you could argue that, well, volatility couldn't move yesterday because of it, but I mean, it didn't even try to move, though. Usually what will happen is if we get a negative headline and volatility is too pinned, it'll try to pop and then it just won't. We actually got a pretty good move here. I mean, VIXI here moved like almost $3 in an hour. That's, it's still a pretty sizable move. VIX here, intraday, 17 to 9. That's a pretty solid move, right? Prior it would be like this, like a 20-cent move. So I don't think that was really it. I think it was just really whipsaw Wednesday. Gotta love OPEX week. And are the bears trapped? Well, right now, if you shorted into the hole, you are. I mean, we went right to 6,200, and it seems right now vol sellers are still in control, even though we have a fresh OPEX cycle, or a fresh VIX cycle rather. Because we got to 6,200 and dealers were not really positioned positively at all, really all morning. And even they're still kind of not really in the afternoon right now. We're still kind of weak around 625 SPY. And, SPX is still not even that great from what I can see. So it does look a little bit more neutral. But yeah, they sold vol and they got it under control. Obviously, this is a bogus, stupid headline anyway, which is why it's just OPEX games, that type of business. But nonetheless, it did trap some bears at the low. I think a lot of people, like I said yesterday, tried to front run Vixpiration. Do I think we're going to go higher, though? I'm going to still say that there's a good chance that we're probably about done going up for a little bit. I don't see us getting much through 6,300. And if we do, I mean, maybe we could go to 64, but I think that's a sell. So that's just kind of my thoughts right now based on like how this market is structured. Do I think we're going to crash? Oh, no, I don't think anything like that. I think if we start pulling back, it'll be a vol down, market down type situation where it's just a slow pullback, much like what we saw in 2023. But outside of now, am I going short? No. I would need to see some sort of confirmation, high volume sell, something of that nature. Some things are definitely looking kind of juicy, like NVIDIA here. That gap it's definitely enticing, and we do have a little bit of a dark pool spike up here too at the highs, so that's definitely catching my eyes there. But I don't fight the trend until it gives me a sell signal. So it's really kind of how I do things. But that said, let's get over to crypto here. We'll cover that first since that is the big story. Right now, let's look at ETH. So I was talking about this like a week or two ago. We actually traded, we actually had a Bitcoin day trade that turned out to pay like a huge amount, much more than I thought it was going to. And we actually sold right into the high too, which was nice. we talked about IBIT and said, look, this is going to mean revert to 67, and it did. It's bouncing back up right now. A lot of people in the room also jumped on Ethereum, and I've said in the last day or so that Ethereum still has room to the upside, to 24.50 to 25 on ETH. So there you go, right there, 25 and change. I want to say this though, I would invite you to maybe consider, if you own this, not financial advice, but maybe consider tightening stop loss, take gains, that type of thing. A lot of talk about alt season, and maybe it is, but just remember, we just ran up into a volatility event, and now we're pumping after the volatility event. So it might be a little sell the news. Like watch the futures around 5 p.m. when they close. Does it come down? There is a lot of chasing going on too. I'll show you here. And now just to say this, so it's said, if this doesn't get rug pulled, it could gamma squeeze up for like a couple weeks. Ethereum, there was plenty of shorts in Ethereum from what I know. So it's not out of the question. And right now for Friday, you are seeing a lot more OI increase on 68, 69, 70, right? Now you got a higher LG1, right? We talked about 67, right? That was LG1 prior to this. That's why we called for that pullback to below that. That happened. But as things change, you need to change too. So when we look at Ethereum via ETH, I don't see any changes in those hedges. Right, so this is not, now it's hedged positively. I'm not saying it's going to crash. Like it would just be some sort of a mean reversion that could happen. Now we look at next Friday. They are pounding 26 calls. So we're hitting a lot of volume there, but the OI ain't moving. LG1's not moving. We look at August 1st. And just so that it's said, this does matter if you're new. The options market absolutely matters at crypto now. But yeah, 25 at the money pounding. 24, it's still LG1. That's for 2 weeks. Let's look at August OPEX. 27 getting pounded, right? Still not moving that top LG strike. So again, unless this really gains momentum here, and as long as if it doesn't get rugged, then yeah, it can go up. But if this doesn't, and we start to dip again, just be aware that I wouldn't chase it, is what I'm trying to say, right? We just had a volatility event. The vote came in positive, right? So it's kind of like it could be a sell the news pretty easily. Now, am I going to short it? No. Like I'm just saying, I would manage the risk here. I'm not, it's a good pump. Maybe it goes back up to 36 with that trend line there. Maybe it breaks out, but just something to be aware of. And we'll know for sure if it's really alt season or if it's just a fake out, after this Friday, I think once we get that expiry. But it looks good, and the chain looks very supportive into, next month or so. But just be aware that you could see some mean reversion here. I would not really look to chase like any of these. That said, they're acting well, and yeah, congratulations to everybody who caught that breakout. It was a nice trade. So that was one we were looking for, back when this was at like 20 bucks, and it's at 25 now. So anyway, Qs here, flat on the day, nothing going on there. This was weaker this morning, and the hedging was definitely weaker than normal. Russell right back up off the lows today. So testing the 20 MA, and it's passing. Dow here again broke that little pennant, so we can get rid of that. But it's still holding up. Maybe you could even make a case it's just a flag right now. So I still think Dow and the Russell have the most upside if there was upside, but S&P just looks a little high on the hog here. SMH again backing off, little tail candle. IGV curling back up. That is a nice rebound there. Transport's backing off into the 200. That is down on the day. Interest rates were all over the map. This was absurd here. The 2-year yield is down though, and if this can break back below, this trend line here again, it is basically an engulfing. If it's going to take out that trend line and then really like 375, we will get a rate cut at some point. But if it not, they can hold rates steady. But it's interesting. The yield's down. But it's not really like, I mean, it's holding the lower end here, but this doesn't look like a panic move down. Now, obviously, the reason for that is, you know, if Powell gets replaced, presumably you'd have somebody who's more dovish, but you'd think it would be more of an impulse down. But long end here, down but not out. 30 years basically flat. So long end still strong as expected. XHB, again, just looks like everything else. VNQ, IYR, same thing. Banks here today. XLF up 36 cents. No problems. KRE, nice rebound. It needed that after the weakness yesterday. And then we got the broker dealers, again, continuing to hold up there. Oil still being on the quieter side. Again, possible lower high here, though. But possible higher low. So we'll see where this resolves. I don't have a bias on it one way or the other at the moment. XLE, again, backing off, but coming off the lows like everything else here. And we got the dollar index. Look at this ridiculousness. So all over the map here, again, was rallying earlier, had some momentum going from yesterday's action, and then the Powell news came out, it got slammed, and now it's back up. So a lot of game playing going on. But test candle, this is not broken. So look at these rejections here at the 50 MA and at the 20 MA. Notice how what's different this time. It came back up and you put in an inside candle. So this might have some momentum back up towards 100, 101. Gold got a huge bid off that news, the instability kind of deal. And I like this. I'm in this right now with a small position. I think it could go, I think we could see GLD 315 by Friday. So we'll see if that works out. Silver here backing off today. Nothing terrible. That looks okay, though. Platinum and palladium still holding up. Palladium still looks pretty good here. And then copper flagging, but it needs more time. So that's pretty much it right now. Again, like basically my thoughts here are, yeah, I know it was like kind of a trap here at the lows, but you know, I'm seeing kind of a lot of bear frustration. Maybe they give this up here. We'll see. Nonetheless, I wouldn't be like opening new longs at this stage. So at least on the indices, single tickers that are, you know, beaten down in good plays, good levels, that's a different story. But yeah, definitely a little bit more neutral currently, and not even thinking about shorting the market till there's a sell signal, which we don't have right now. So anyways, guys, I'll wrap it up here again. You guys take care. Don't forget to come find me on carnivoretrades.com. We'll see you guys all tomorrow.